over there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Deanna, would you lead us in prayer?
Yes. Would you bow with me, please? Dear God, we thank you for the beautiful day you've given us outside and the wonderful people that you've blessed us with to be inside during our Rotary meeting today. And thank you for our time together. Thank you for the work that we do, dear Lord. Please be with us tonight as we participate in the parade. Keep everyone safe and just let us have a good time sharing with the community the love that we have for each other and them as well. Dear God, please be with people who are suffering today, who have sadness or pain in their hearts. Please just bless them. Be with them in a way that only you can. Please bless our food, dear God, for the nourishment of our bodies. Please forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name, amen.
Nelson.
Our words are up here. We've sung this before. Now, I tried to demasculinize this. This is from the old Rotary songbook, and it's very, very, what do you call it? I can't think. It's
Sexist.
So anyway, I've tried to fix it, but it's not quite all exactly where I'm calling all the women guys too. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
So
here we go.
A red dot that'll bounce along on the letter.
Yeah, I know. I wish I did. Aaron, you need to work on that.
We'll do that.
Here we go. Viva, viva la Rotary. Viva la Rotary. Chorus first. Truth is our right, love is our might. Viva la Rotary. Let every good guy raise his helmet and glove. Viva la Rotary. To carry our message of service and love. Viva la Rotary. Viva la Rotary. Viva la Rotary. Truth is our right, love is our might. Viva la Rotary. Good job, good job.
It brings us from the old and on this.
That's right. More or less. You can wait.
Either that or the soft puppet show. We haven't decided yet. Because then we will go with it.
You should have seen being passed around a sign up for the December 11th Christmas party. If you haven't signed up, we're going to have the event between 6 and 8 p.m. at Josie's on December 11th in lieu of our regular meeting. The cost is $25 a person. If you can attend, I hope you will. The dictionaries are ready, and I sent out an email about that. I omitted a few schools. I'd like to send 2 people if we can, 2 Rotarians to each school. Entirely up to you if you're comfortable doing it on your own. I know a lot of people have. Fred, I hear you're the Cape City guy and have been for a long time. But, if somebody else wants to go, I think
Jerry's going, I think.
Jerry's going to go with you.
I'm going to take the cavemen.
Okay, good. I'll put Jerry down.
And Barrett, Johnny and I are talking about combining forces with Southside and Core Charlotte.
Good, good.
He'll lead him in song and I'll pass out the
So that leaves Mike Hester has Eagle Mountain, and I know Mike's capable of doing it all by himself, but if somebody wants to help him, that'd be good. And I think Debbie Frazier has Midland. So if anybody has any interest in passing out dictionaries there. The dictionaries are at my office. We need to put labels on them. We're going to do that soon, so let's go ahead and try and get those distributed during the month of December. I hear that the float is decorated and looks good. It's big and can hold a lot of people. We're going to meet at 5 o'clock, right, Amanda, tonight?
Yeah,
As soon
as soon as you can. We're going to meet at Kent's.
Okay. And thank you, Johnny, for letting us
Where we're meeting?
set up.
Behind
Kent's
my
Firestone.
store. Okay. That's where the float is. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Be a good place to meet.
Parade starts at 6 and should last maybe an hour, yeah, something like that. I don't have any candy up here. I have some candy in my office, so if you have other candy to bring, we'll probably run out of candy pretty quick. I maybe have 6 or 7 bags of candy total that I've collected, so if you have any other candy, please bring them. Scholarship applications, we do have our scholarships. We're accepting applications now. If you know any high school students who are interested in applying, please let us know. And I'll invite Ted Hall to come forward for a quick announcement.
Well, I can just stay right here. Hey, I'm just here to say thank you on behalf of Christmas Brings Hope. We've been doing this project since the mid-1980s, and Rotary have had a big part in the start of that. So we just want to say thank you for your contribution. You know, I'm here among friends. Mr. Rose actually hired me as head basketball coach. I worked for Ron Carter when I was superintendent. So I've got lots of good friends here that I've worked with in the bank and everything, but I'm proud to be here. And thank you again for helping Christmas Brings Hope.
And thank you, Ted, for working on that worthwhile project. I noticed we have some honorary members of the club who don't attend with us regularly anymore. Jerry Taylor, Buford Maddox, Polly Livingston, Peppy Grace, it is Peppy, it's not his dad, is an honorary member, and Bill Eno, I don't know Bill. But they're honorary members, they don't come regularly anymore. If you, around the holiday time, if you think about giving them a call or just dropping by a visit or something, they are members of the club, they're active, they're just honorary. I see that Jerry, Bill, Steve, and Nelson are all celebrating club anniversaries this week. Jerry has 32 years in the club this coming week. Bill has 21 years. Nelson has 29 years. And Steve is celebrating 8 years. So let's give them a round of applause. Ron, do you have anything, Sergeant at Arms?
I guess we'll do it on the, does anyone want to volunteer for a Rotary friend? I was looking at the list and there's a lot of people absent that would match up.
Volunteers for Rotary Friend Forever.
Everybody standing up.
If not, I'll ask, does anyone want to get up and give a pitch for being the next Razorback football coach?
Big responsibility.
I'll be glad to do that for you.
You got as good chances to
Amanda, Secretary.
Okay, just a couple quick things. We have several guests with us here today. Joseph from the Batesville Guard's not really our guest anymore, but we really appreciate him coming and covering our meetings.
Welcome, Joseph.
Yes. And I saw a couple of Batesville High School students. If y'all care, stand up, introduce yourselves to us, please.
My name is Mallory McClure, and I'm a senior from Batesville High School Student Council.
My name is Dalton Wentz. I am a sophomore at Batesville High School.
Wonderful, welcome. I think we have a couple of line students in the back. If you guys don't care, stand up and introduce yourselves real quick for us.
I'm Maloney. We're trying to start a Rotary Club, so we've been having members come, so it'd be nice to have y'all support.
I'm Elizabeth Daniel. I'm also from Lyon and also part of the Rotary.
Great, welcome. And Matt Martin, do you have a guest with you today?
I'd love to introduce Gene Crawford. He's actually been a Rotarian in the past, I believe, and has come back to Batesville here recently, earlier this year, and is asked to come to the club. So please welcome Gene.
Wonderful, welcome.
Before I sit down, might I make a comment to Kurt? Great job on the Rotary Club. And we've been working on this for years, I know. And if that is something that we can pull off, and you guys are wanting to do that, I mean, that's awesome. We'd love to support you.
They are the driving force for that.
Yeah, I think I speak for the whole club, and you know, you shouldn't have to garner much support from us because we love to see it happen.
Yes.
Yeah, 3 years we've talked about it, so it's great.
And then Ted kind of spoke for a minute. We won't hold it against him, but he's actually a Kiwanian. Maybe we can convert him. Everybody knows Ted. And Barrett, do you want to introduce your
I have my
wonderful
wife
guest?
Sarah with me today.
The only other thing I'll mention again, and I know we're beating this to death, but is the parade. If anybody has any candy they can bring, I'll be at my office until 4 o'clock at First Community Bank. You can bring it to me if you're not planning on coming tonight. But we run out of candy every year, y'all, and it's so sad to see those little kids at the end and you can't give them any candy. It just breaks your heart. So if you can, bring us some candy. Line students, tell your friends if y'all want to come walk with us tonight, ride on our float. Please come with us, come join us. It'll be a lot of fun. You'll really have a good time. Yeah, we don't want rocks thrown at us at the end.
We may have to ration the candy as it is.
Save it all till the end.
That's what we may have to do.
Just don't throw as much at a time.
That's right. One single piece. Okay, I don't see why clear, but I think statements have gone out, so if you haven't received yours, you missed it, so please check again. You should have received a statement recently. Deanna, on service, do you have anything you want to add?
I think that you covered well the dictionaries and the parade, so that's all that I'm familiar with at this moment.
Very good. Ryan?
Excited to have everyone out on the parade.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Ryan, on membership, you want to say anything?
I don't have anything except that I do think that it's good for us if everybody remember to share the stuff whenever it goes out on Facebook. So if everybody here shared that on your Facebook, that would probably literally hit the entire city of Batesville every week, which would make it a lot easier for us on recruiting people.
Don't be afraid to press the share button on Rotary because they're good for the community, right? Steve was our door greeter today. He did a good job. Let's give Steve a round of applause.
He even dressed up for it.
I know that, yeah. Matt McDonald, you're our door greeter next week. Are there any other announcements for good of the club or community that I've missed?
I want to speak just a little bit on foundation. I'm foundation chair, and one thing that I don't know if everybody's participating in, and something I'd encourage you to participate in, is the $25 a quarter that goes to your sustaining membership to the Rotary Foundation. I know this year we've been pushing to eliminate polio. We've been doing a lot of things. There's been a lot of awareness for the foundation. But one way as members that we can contribute is we can add that $25 a quarter to our statement. What that does is that goes into your account for the benefit of the foundation, and that does count towards Paul Harris Fellow. So as soon as you hit $1,000, you get your Paul Harris Fellow. And it's one way for us that don't have the money to just spend $1,000 at a WAP for a Paul Harris Fellow to save for those and donate to the foundation on behalf of yourself. So.
Yeah, last month was Foundation Month, and I appreciate Matt saying something about that. Or I guess this month, we're in Foundation Month. So I appreciate you saying something about that. The Rotary Foundation is a great organization. I think that they give almost all of the donations to. It's a pass-through. It is tax deductible too, the money, it's deductible. So, anybody else? Donna, you had something?
I just want to make sure Help and Hope next Wednesday.
Yes, not this upcoming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. We do have a regular Help and Hope volunteer night. Thank you for that. Let's not forget about that too. All right, anything else? Good. Donna, why don't you come up and introduce our speaker?
You have to fake mic today, or?
Well, I thought it was on. Maybe it's not. Sorry. Let's go see.
You can just pretend to talk to the mic. Today, I'm actually quite honored to have a former teacher. We won't talk about how many years ago it was. We both decided that wouldn't be fair to either one of us. And friend, family friend for a long time. Chuck Crow has been in education for 30 years. He spent 8 years in the private sector and 22 years as a counselor in public education. He's the father of 3 children who are mostly grown. I don't know if that ever happens, they really get grown. Involved in church ministry part-time for 34 years. He noted that he looks forward to going to work each day. That's nice, because he loves working with the kids.
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for the good that you guys do. I looked up the Rotary Club today because I wanted to refresh my memory. You guys are involved in a lot of wonderful things, and I think that's great. I wasn't sure if Donna was going to include the fact that we had a history together, as well as math, and Bible, and some other subjects, but I'm glad she did. She was a great student, and obviously a very fine young lady. And young works really well.
Young, thank you.
Yes.
Sweet of you. Appreciate that.
All right. Donna contacted me about a month ago, and she shared this question with me. What are our teens facing today in the way of mental health, addiction, and the signs to look for? And that's That's a good question. It's a very general question. And I thought a lot about it, and I've gone different directions with it. One of the first things that I thought I would do is go to our aptness survey. That'd be, do I just say click when? Okay. The aptness survey, the Arkansas Prevention Needs Assessment Survey is conducted every year, 6th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, and seniors. And it's a confidential survey, and it asks a lot of questions about things like addiction, tobacco use, probably sexual activity, and things along that line, and to do it in such a way that the kids will feel comfortable saying the way it really is, because there are no names, and there's no way that anybody can know who the students are that do the survey. And so I thought I'll just go there, and I'll run through several slides of the survey, and I'll show you the results, and then you'll know. But I decided very quickly that wasn't the case. Give you an idea of why I didn't do that with the next click. It's kind of hard to see, and it's very technical. What I did want to do is pull a few facts from this particular page. This is a page that deals with alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use, and it's 8th grade. Keep in mind, this is 8th grade. I wasn't interested in looking at the 10th and 12th grade or 6th grade because I wanted to focus on the kids that I'm working with right now. And so I'll just share a few things with you from this, and then we'll move on. But this first question relates to, have you ever used any of these substances? And the state average is given, the 2015 and 16 results, and then the 2016 and 17 last year results. Have you ever used alcohol? 22% in the state, 17% in 2015-16, and only 13% last year. And let me add that a little over 200 kids would have been in the 2015-16 survey, and under 200 in this last year's survey. How many have ever used cigarettes? The state average was over 15%. Our year before, 15. This last year, 13. So it had dropped a little bit. Chewing tobacco, 9%, 8%, 10%. Marijuana use, 8% in the state, less than 7, year before last among our 8th graders, and right at 7% this last year. Inhalants, 6% state, 8% year before last, 9% this last year. Prescription drugs, right at 5% all the way across. Over-the-counter drugs, which can also be very misused. 2%, state average, 2.5% year before last, and under 2.5% this last year. And when it asked about cocaine, I was very pleased that our amount was so low among our 8th graders that it registered as 0. And almost the same with meth. The state average was less than 1%. Our 2015-16 set at 0. This last year, 1%. So that gives you sort of a general idea of what the survey reveals about what our 8th graders have tried at different times during their lives. Next click. I thought I would go online after I decided I didn't want to go through the whole aptness survey, and find some things online about some of the things that our kids are facing, and found a lot of interesting concerns. When our children are small, we child-proof our houses. Well, it sounds like maybe even though they're teenagers, it wouldn't be a bad idea to do some more proofing, because I discovered there were several household items that young people can misuse in this particular area. I put hand sanitizer up. Is there anyone here who doesn't have hand sanitizer? That stuff. Hand sanitizer in our home office. And there probably are no hands. That's what I thought. Young people can take this and they can create a type of moonshine. 60% alcohol content. And it sent several kids to the hospital.
You had the recipe?
Well, it's okay, but I can find some young people.
It's online, Nelson.
Since you mentioned something, I thought I would ask. It'll aid some of us in here. What were the addiction problems when you were younger? Do you recall what it was? What were the biggies that we had to be concerned about? Anybody want to volunteer?
Cigarettes and beer.
Cigarettes and beer. Hadn't changed too much, has it?
Marijuana.
Marijuana.
Cocaine.
Cocaine.
Heroin.
Were there any kind of household items that were being misused?
Aftershave.
Aftershave, all
I
right?
know it, I know that's for sure.
Okay.
Vanilla extract.
Yes.
That balloon stuff. Not helium, but the other thing. The thing that.
Nitrous oxide.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's the dentist stuff. I'm going to mention that in just a few minutes.
I didn't, not me. Just to clarify.
That's why you have gray hair.
The guilty dog marks.
Let's go to the next one. I find this interesting. Cinnamon. Okay, now, I could not find anything of a drug nature from cinnamon as far as an altered state of consciousness or anything along that line. But nutmeg has something that is called mitricitin. My pronunciations are not very good, as you can tell with the hand sanitizer. Anyway, nutmeg contains this, and it can, in fact, cause hallucinations and euphoria. Now, the reason I put the cinnamon up here is because I read about the cinnamon challenge. Have you heard of that? How many have tried it? Good. Don't try it. Again, no drug-related connection here. It's just something kids do. They'll take a teaspoon of cinnamon, and the trick is you try to swallow it within a minute. And kids have gone to the hospital with damage to their throat and to their lungs. And it's just one of those. If your friends jump off a bridge, are you going to jump off of it too? And they are. And you can go on YouTube and you can see plenty of it. The next one. This is a picture describing what is referred to as internet overdosing, digital drugs. And evidently there are some digital audio files that have been proven to alter brain waves and give a disrupted mental state to those who use it. And so the things we listen to can sometimes have the same effect as drugs. And it's popular. The next slide. Robitussin. There is a process called robotripping, and it's not the alcohol content. I don't think there's any alcohol in Robitussin. There used to be in NyQuil, is that a little bit in that, but it's another drug. We'll just call it DXM, and it can cause dissociative and stimulant properties, and it can be very dangerous. Don't want to embarrass anybody with the next one, but you need to know what's going on. What does that have to do with drugs? Well, there are young people who are taking tampons and they're soaking them in things like vodka, and then they're using them. And it causes a long-lasting, intense high because it's absorbed directly into the bloodstream. Young ladies are using them. Young men are using them as well. Next. What do air conditioners have to do with drugs?
Freon.
That's exactly right. If your Freon's been on the fritz lately, you might want to check around and make sure somebody hasn't been breaking into it and getting the Freon, because kids are smoking the Freon. Now, I don't think that was possible with the old Freon that we tried to get rid of because of the ozone layer, but the newer Freon seems to have more of a thickness to it. And somehow or another they're smoking the Freon, and the other counselor I worked with said that she knew of 2 kids that were killed recently in Greenbrier as a result of smoking Freon. It causes slurred speech, frostbite, even brain damage. Next. This has been around for quite a while. And I don't have to tell you about dusting and how kids will do this, and it can cause a lot of damage. One more. Have you ever heard of kids using whippets? And what it is about whippets that can give them a high? It's nitrous oxide that is used in the process.
Now, is that like whipped cream, or
Yes, it is.
is that what you make?
It says here, whippets, which are basically used as an aerosol spray in cans involving whipped cream. And kids will use that, and it does have nitrous oxide in it, and that is laughing gas, and they like the feel that they get from that. All right, one more, and this will be the last slide. And I'm really glad to have the slides. I always prefer for somebody to have something else to look at than me. So I think that helps a lot. So after going online and looking at some things I wanted to share with you, I thought, well, let me get even more basic. Let me start pulling in kids, and with their permission, ask them this same question about what the concerns are, what concerns they have, what some of the drugs might be, what some of the stresses are that they have to deal with. And so I can't give you any names. I typically wrote down like 8th grade male or 8th grade female. But let me just read some of the things, and I'm going to go through it rather quickly because I have 20 minutes, and I don't know how far I am, but I don't want to use it all up. 2 9th grade females talked about being depressed. They talked about being depressed because they feel often judged by others. They often feel insecure, which leads to eating disorders. They also mentioned the fact that there was a lot of abuse and neglect at home. I raised the question with a group of 7th grade girls. It's a big mistake. When you have a group of 7th grade girls together, they all want to answer at once. But they did have some really good answers. There was one young lady that was really in the know, and she mentioned tobacco, that it's a big concern, and she even knew the facts. She said, every 9 seconds, someone dies in a tobacco-related situation. They talked about bullying based upon the certain clothes that you wear. She said that sometimes it's, if you wear the name brand clothes, or other times you're bullied because you don't wear the name brand clothes. But that was a concern. Who you date, who you don't date. And of course the word date today does not mean what it used to mean. What did date used to mean? You remember where you got out and went
Too long ago.
Too long ago. No, when I was growing up, dating, you went somewhere together with somebody of the opposite gender. Now dating is just, they're your boyfriend. You may never go anywhere together except down the hall. But anyway, who you date, that's a problem. And they also talked about social media, that there are young people who are posting things to embarrass others, such as nude pictures, junior high age, elementary age. And that is a big problem. Social media hurts, they said, because you're not perfect, or because you hang around a certain crowd. I interviewed another 9th grade girl. She said depression, anxiety, stress related to school, to the home environment. Another one said stress, friends, school, who you hang around with. A lot of these were very familiar, or very common among different ones. Another one mentioned peer pressure, tobacco, alcohol, social media. And I was surprised that not more didn't mention cutting, because cutting is quite a problem among many of our young people. And I don't know what the percentages are, but I know we probably have a pretty good number across our nation of young girls who cut, and some young men as well. I questioned another 9th grade female who talked about divided homes being a problem, that children are living with their grandparents, and in some cases their great-grandparents, because their own parents aren't able to raise them. She talked about kids being angry with their parents and turning to drugs as a result. The last thing I did, I interviewed a couple of mental health workers. One is a young woman, and I'll not name who these folks are, but her position is that of a behavioral interventionist. And I asked her, because she deals with young people on a daily basis, what she saw as some of the major concerns. And she talked about cyberbullying, she talked about poor coping skills, about children being depressed, about cutting. She sees a lot of cutting. And children not only having poor coping skills, but also poor social skills. She said that she didn't see that much drug abuse among the children she worked with, but there was quite a bit among their parents, which had a negative effect upon them, and was one of the reasons why she was seeing so many of them. She also said that too many of our kids are not being raised by their parents. And I think she probably meant that partly because they're being raised by grandparents and great-grandparents. But I also think she probably meant that they're just not being raised by parents. They're just kind of having to raise themselves what little is actually taking place. She said there were some cases of children misusing prescription drugs where they were taking somebody else's drugs. And the last person I interviewed was a mental health professional that has worked with young people for many years. And I was really pleased when she sat down and visited with me and let me ask her these questions. She became very emotional as she talked to me and talked about some of the problems and some of the kids she dealt with. She talked about the ongoing distractions of the social media. She said there are no breaks from social media with a lot of these children. It is ongoing, but there is no family time with a lot of our young people. That it's beyond the parents' ability to keep up, that it's hard to educate parents, to help them be more aware and more careful with their children, that families were using cell phones to the point that instead of walking from one room to another, they'll just text their message. She also said that many parents are afraid to ask for their children's phones, I guess as a form of punishment. They're afraid of the reaction they'll get. She said that kids appear more lost, more vulnerable, that the family connection is not there, that kids continue to look for different apps where they'll have to spend less and less time actually communicating with people one-on-one. They would rather text or share their messages in some other way. She said that they're losing their ability to be social beings with less and less face-to-face communication. She also said that social media grants too much access of the children to one another, that you can't get away from it and have those breaks that you need sometimes, but they'll continue to be communicated with. A lot of opportunities for cyberbullying, also a lot of opportunities for predators, and we all know about that. She mentioned drugs, that she has seen a recent surge in prescription drugs where young people will visit grandpa or grandma, and when they're not looking, they'll go to the medicine cabinet and they'll get into their prescription medication. She talked about the opioid crisis, how it's affecting people, how it's causing people to lose their family, their friends, and everything. And she said it's especially worse when they mix it with alcohol. So I enjoyed pulling this together. I guess I enjoyed more than anything else the opportunity to talk to kids and get their feedback on some of these things, and the mental health workers as well. But it is concerning. And I guess if there's a winner, although I would prefer to call it a loser in this sense, above everything else that I saw is the misuse of social media. And let me be one of the first ones to say that social media is a tremendous blessing. And there are so many benefits to it. But when it is misused, when kids are not trained properly on how to use it, then it can become a danger, as it has. In this situation, or many of the situations that I've seen in recent days, it opens kids up to stresses they wouldn't have otherwise, to social problems they wouldn't have otherwise, contributing to poor social skills, exposing them to drug-related problems they wouldn't have if they didn't go online and find out about it. So, again, it's neutral. It can be a great blessing or it can be a danger. It just depends on how we use it. And so my encouragement to you as a group is to do what you can to encourage parents to educate their children about the dangers of social media so it can be used in a more positive way. Now, if the questions aren't very hard, I'll be glad to entertain questions. If they are hard, I've got some students right over there that I can questions to. Yes, ma'am.
I don't really have a question, but I was going to comment on what he said. Everybody knows that texting, I'm an insurance agent, and we just got some new stats in on the insurance board that I'm on for the state of Arkansas. And of course, everybody knows that texting has now outweighed DUIs by far and auto accidents. But do you have any idea what the #1 homeowner's claim is? It's not lightning, it's not fire, it's not water.
Cell phone chargers?
No, it's not cell phone chargers.
Not anymore, huh?
It is kids and grandkids bullying and talking bad about other kids on Facebook, videoing things that are happening at parties and sharing it with the entire school, things like that, things that don't need to be posted on there. That's where the mamas and daddies of those kids that are doing it, when they get sued, your homeowner's liability is the insurance that covers that. That is now almost the #1 claim for homeowner's insurance. It's not fire, theft, water anymore. It's your cell phone.
Chuck, what about computer games? Have you done much study on, because so many of the kids do that?
I know, and that's a good question too, because there's still the concerns about kids going out and acting out what they're doing, the violence and so forth. I didn't come across anything, and none of the kids that I interviewed had much to say about it. I was surprised.
I've got a grandson that's pretty much addicted, I'm afraid, but he seems to be fine otherwise, so.
Maybe he can get it all out that way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'll comment on that. There's been guys in my generation that have lost their families because they couldn't quit playing games. They play them around the clock, they play them around the clock, they play them around the clock. They can't get a job, they won't keep a job because they're going to keep doing that. So.
And I know people who have to drop out of college because they played so much their grades went down. All started in high school.
That may be like our, I mean, that may not be as big a deal now, but I know for guys my age, man, they start playing and it was over. So.
How's the cell phone issue at the junior high? What's your policies on that? Do y'all have anything that's restricted?
We do. Cell phones are allowed before school and after school and during lunch. We see them out sometimes when they're going from one class to another, but they're not supposed to be out unless the teacher is using it for educational purposes. Basically. Not to say that there's not some of this going on under the desk when the teacher can't see it. So it's possible.
And to think all we used to do was make spitballs.
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
We have a literacy project underway, and so we'll donate a book to the local library in your honor for speaking to us today, and thank you very much for doing that. And we're going to ask you to pick our winning Joker Draw ticket here in just a minute. Next week, by the way, Stacy Treadway, the administrator of Woodcrest Assisted Living, will be our speaker.
Okay, thank you. All right, 2, 3, 1, 7, 8, 4, 8.
Hey.
Does anybody want to know how many tickets Nelson bought? One ticket. That's all it takes.
Ronnie, I want you to come draw for me here.
Who?
Ronnie Carter.
He loses every time.
I lose.
He has to pick, but he doesn't want to pick.
I don't have any idea. Nope, you can keep it.
I want to tell our guest, had he won, the rest of us need counsel.
I've never been by Chuck's office when there wasn't a line formed. I've never seen that.
Don't forget about the float tonight. We meet at 5 o'clock for the parade at Kent's Firestone. Any other announcements for good of the club? If not, we'll end as we always do with the 4-way test. Number 1.
Is it the truth?
Number 2.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Number 3.
Will it build goodwill